Good morning. Hi, can everybody hear me? Okay. So, good morning. Welcome for coming along to this basic relaxation masterclass. By myself, I'm Jodie Hazel. I have set up the business Natural Vibes 8 years ago, and it was mainly after using relaxation tips for myself as I was working as a employment coach, and I was literally under the biggest stress of my life trying to help support unemployed people back into work, but not realizing I was an empath. So what happened was I would take on everybody's issues, problems, trying to help everyone, bring it home, and I didn't know how to process it. I ended up having an overload of stress, and it wasn't even my emotions, it was other people's. Now, talking about emotions, I did have past trauma too from childhood, what I kept with me because I didn't process emotions as a child and a teenager. So, with this built up stress inside my body, I was ready to explode. I had a mental breakdown, and it was literally the worst time of my life. So, I was always drawn to spirituality, I was always drawn to scientific backed research too. And I found that Reiki came into my life. So if you don't know what Reiki is a form of natural healing. It's a Japanese technique which helps aid your body into pure relaxation so you can heal from the inside, okay? It is a universal life force energy what flows through your body which helps repair yourself. So I got attuned to this 8.5 years ago, and I practiced Reiki every day religiously for 6 months. And the difference I felt in my whole body, mind, and soul was incredible. I knew that there was a way to heal. And that's what this masterclass is all about. Is trying to explain that you don't have to suffer, you don't have to be in pain. We've all experienced trauma, we've all had trauma passed on, and we've all listened to people who have been traumatized and took on their issues and problems. So, there are basic relaxation techniques you can use to help yourself be able to relax and repair. That's the good news, okay? So, I'll be going through a lot of those today to explain how you can implement it from today. Now, going back to the story of my Reiki journey, with Reiki, you have to do and practice basic relaxation to be able to channel the energy. So that's the bit I'm going to be explaining today, is the basics of how to be able to relax yourself, to be able to ensure that your body and your mind goes from the fight and flight response, okay, to the rest and repair response. That is the aim of the masterclass. So back to my story with Reiki. I knew that I could feel such a difference with this universal life force energy and being able to relax for the first time in my life. I went and did my level 2. So after doing the level 2, you gain something called sacred symbols. And the first sacred symbol I was given, I was drawing freehand from a child. So I knew this stuff worked. I knew I was meant for it. And ever since practicing these symbols and these practices, my life has just changed. I look younger now than what I did 10 years ago. It has healed the destruction within, okay? So there's definitely other things you can be trying as well as the stuff we'll be covering today. But the basics is meditation, mindfulness and relaxation are more or less the same thing. And this stuff doesn't have to be hard. This stuff can be easy, and there is a way out. So after doing all of this practices, I've now been teaching Reiki, because what happened was I was an employment coach for 5 years, and then I went on to be a tutor assessor for 3 years. So I was teaching employability skills and customer service skills to long-term unemployed people, helping them gain interviews and get back into work. And what happened was I did my level 3 training in Reiki as I was training to be an assessor, and the light bulb moment came. I should be practicing this. So I started teaching, And then what I've done since then is like adapted the Reiki courses to include more relaxation tips and more self-care tips. And this is what I'm specialising in now and what I'm going to be sharing today. So that's a little bit about my story, about how I'm here today and how I'm doing this. And the biggest transformation of my life was being able to share these gifts with my daughter. So what happened was I was pregnant, and I found out at 20 weeks that I had something called placenta previa. So placenta previa, for anybody who doesn't know, is where your placenta lies over your cervix and it's low lying, and unfortunately it means that you're prone to bleeding. So what happened at 27 weeks 6 days, I started bleeding, and obviously when you're so pregnant it's very alarming. So I ended up in hospital on bed rest. Okay, so I was on bed rest for 6 weeks. My daughter was 12 weeks until she was due, and then she came at 6 weeks prem. So what I did on those 6 weeks, so that was my biggest transformation of how I can share these tips with you today about how I know that the simple practices you can bring into your life to get yourself back in that moment and back into the present moment, back into rest and repair, where you don't have to be in this extreme trauma response. Okay, I was in this response for 20 years of my life. I understand how difficult it is, but I'm also living proof that you can come out of it. So for the 6 weeks I was in hospital, I practiced every single day relaxation tips, what I'm going to share with you today to get myself out of the fight and flight response back into rest and repair. I channeled the universal flow of energy and meditated for sometimes 6 hours a day. And what happened was, we was told my daughter was going to be 2 pounds and in the neonatal unit for at least 2 weeks. So when she was delivered premature, it was an emergency C-section to save my life, because I'd lost that much blood. So they emergency C-sectioned me, and then my daughter stopped breathing as she was delivered, and they resuscitated her there, and we've been fine ever since. So I'm a strong believer that these relaxation tips and the universal life energy, what anybody can work with attunements or not, can actually pull yourself out of the worst trauma you ever feel. So I'm just going to go through the basics of relaxation to start with, just so you understand what I'm talking about. So our body has a response to trauma, okay? We have 4 trauma responses. That's just a little diagram just to show you. So our body is either in rest and repair. So this happens normally when we sleep at night time, but unfortunately we're not getting enough sleep at the moment. So when we're in rest and repair is when we're fully relaxed, and that's the only time our body can heal. Our body cannot heal when we're in fight and flight, okay? This is where cortisol, the hormone cortisol, is released, and that creates a big massive build-up in your body when you're in this constant fight and flight response, okay? Looking back at the basics and the history of it all, our body's response is amazing to stress. We had this embedded in us back in the caveman days. So if a saber-toothed tiger was running at us, our response would kick in, and we'd know straight away. Our heartbeat would start going faster, our breathing would be faster, and it means so we could get away from danger. Nowadays, we're walking down the street and a police car goes by with the sirens on, and that can put us in a state of fight and flight, okay? It can cause that anxiety feeling. Now, there are ways you can be in control and changing this round. That's the good news. So what happens is we're in fight and flight response, or we're in rest and repair. They're the 2 different responses. It's our autonomic nervous system what regulates this, okay? So we have in our fight and flight response, our sympathetic system activates, which creates this cortisol, creates these different types of feelings. Now, if this continues and continues and continues and we don't get on top of it, it causes something called biological stress in our body, which ages us faster. This is like, for example, why heavy drinkers and smokers can look in their face like they have more wrinkles and they look tired. That's because they've had this built up biological stress because they're putting their body in fight and flight. Okay. Now, people who meditate, practice yoga, mindfulness, all these different techniques, what I'm going to break down, can reverse biological stress through activating their parasympathetic system, which is controlled by our vagus nerve. Okay. So, when our body's pumping this cortisol, we can relax it through activating our vagus nerve, which is our main nerve in our parasympathetic system. And once this is stimulated, it can get us out of this fight and flight response and back into rest and repair. Now, talking about trauma responses, we have different responses where we react to trauma. We could be in flight, okay, so something bad happens and we start overthinking. This is when you can trigger your vagus nerve. We could be in fight, well, we have explosive behaviour because of something traumatic what's just happened. We can be in freeze, and this is where we feel stuck, okay? After a huge trauma I had a few months ago, I was in the stuck state for about 2 weeks, and then I went back to my basics of remembering, look, I've got control of this, and I started using these techniques every day to stimulate my vagus nerve, and we'll do a technique in a minute, the first one for you to learn. And it snapped me out of it, snapped me out of my stuck mode, and I started taking action. All the action I wanted to take, I started doing again, okay? And we could also be in something called fawn, where we're constantly overwhelmed. All the information, what's being sent to you, can just literally overtake. Now, we're going to try the first technique to help us snap out of this, and I hope all that makes sense. One thing I will say is anybody on this masterclass who's listening at any point of time, if anything you want to ask me, challenge me, find out more about, find out where I've learnt this from and resources, please email me. I'm going to link my email and my number to all my websites for you to be able to access, because I'm more than happy to help take this deeper if anybody needs to know, because I am just scratching the surface on the science behind it. But I think it's easy to understand when it's broken down into easy terms. We have one response and we have another response, and trauma triggers this. Now, one thing I will say is that sometimes past trauma from years ago stays in our body. I do have a nice diagram actually to show this too. So this is another study I'm referring to as well, which I can link to anybody who may be interested. And what happened is they used a heat map to show where different emotions stay in the body. Okay. So say if you've had a built-up of trauma which has caused depression, you can see how the body is a different colour to how you are when you're vibrating from love. And what I mean by this as well, I have another diagram to show you the levels of consciousness of what we can be in. We're either in divine flow, okay, where we're our higher self, or we're being pulled down and from past trauma, what may have happened, or stuff we've inherited from other people, okay? So this is a level of consciousness. It's by David Hawkins in the book Power versus Force. And he really refers to this in such a level, which I think is the best way I've ever heard it explained. You can be being pulled down by different consciousnesses of fear, grief, apathy, shame and guilt. And it keeps you in the lower levels, okay? So this is why you're feeling down. And unless we release this stuff through consciousness, okay, through choosing to release this, and there are other techniques I'll link to at the end about this. And this is what I've spent the last 8 years with Reiki and EFT healing myself, and all these relaxation, basic meditation techniques every day to help get out of these lower states and move up. And the good news is it's possible, okay? I am now vibrating at unconditional love, which is the higher rate up here, and that's how I can teach this stuff. I also offer one-to-one sessions if people do want to know more about this stuff. But this masterclass will help you get on the right track, and I have a second masterclass where I go into this a bit more deeply, what you may be interested, so keep your eyes on your emails regarding this. So, back to unconditional love. When you're vibrating in the higher dimensions of peace, love, joy, the only way we can get there is if we accept our past, okay? We accept the past, we show willingness to change. So it is about intention, okay? It is about your mindset, and take that courage to move forward. You can start being in something called divine flow, okay? If you're not in this flow, if you imagine like the water of the ocean going out, and there's all these blockages in the way, these energetic blockages that come up, it creates a resistance to get back into that flow. But once you remove this resistance through resetting your vagus nerve daily, which we're going to show this demonstration next, to start with, and then you can do more inner work like meditations, one-to-one sessions. EFT is amazing for this stuff, removing these blocks. And that's what I'm teaching in the second class after this, the second masterclass. And then we're going to do some tapping versions to do that. But I feel like you need to understand the basics of relaxation before moving on to that section. But it is to come. So back to talking about living in the moment, okay? To get back into living in that moment, we're either in the past, which is feeling depressed about what's happened in the past, or we're worried about the future, which is anxiety, okay? To get ourselves back, our parasympathetic system, our vagus nerve, toned into that present moment, there's a really nice, easy demonstration I am going to share today. So I explained I had a huge trauma in November last year. I'm recording this now in January 2024. And in November 2023, I suffered a miscarriage. 9 months before that, I found out I couldn't have children. So the fact I even conceived, it was a miracle. I only got to 9 weeks 4. And after 9 weeks 4, I suffered this trauma of losing the baby. And it put me in the worst state of fear, the worst state of grief, guilt, shame, okay? And I knew I was vibrating at unconditional love, and that I fell down that chart straight back down to the bottom again. You can hear I'm releasing as I'm talking about it, sharing this today. So what happened? I knew for 10 days I just had to sit with that pain and reset my nervous system to start from scratch. So this is where I'm starting with you guys today, because I know now, 2 months later after this, I'm now back in that divine flow, because I've done this inner work, I've done this healing, and I started with my vagus nerve. So that's my story, and this is the technique. So because our vagus nerve starts at our crown and ends at our root at the bottom of our spine, it aligns our whole spinal cord. So the easiest way to stimulate and reset your vagus nerve is by looking forward and moving your eyes to the right, doing some breath work for 30 seconds, and then we're going to look forward, and then we're going to move to the left and do exactly the same and just look to the left while we breathe. Now what could happen throughout is that you feel energy coming up, so you just swallow as you go through it. That swallowing response is activating your parasympathetic system, okay? Your rest and repair. Any trapped trauma inside your body will be coming out, okay? The way to start this is, first of all, just moving your head to the right and seeing what resistance we have here. Just take a note of it. And then to the left, and again, feeling how far you can turn your neck. Now we're going to practice this by looking forward, and we're going to go to the right first, and then we're going to go to the left, and then we're going to do the neck and see if there's any difference, and you can feel how this response changes. Okay, so just to start with, are you ready? Look forward and move your eyes to the right. All you have to do is breathe. Okay, that's been 30 seconds. So look forward. Anything coming up, allow it to be released. And then we're going to move to the left, our eyes. So head straight forward, eyes to the left. Yeah. and your 30 seconds is up. So if you want to look forward, taking a deep breath and breathe out, and then move your head to one side and head to the other side. And can you see how much more less resistance there are in your shoulders and your neck? Okay? That is triggering your vagus nerve. Can you feel how calm you feel right now? Now, if you're in an office or doing work where you can't feel like you can't do this technique, other pressure points in your body is around your ears, inside your ear, and along the top of your hands between your pinky. Here. Can you see? That's another place where you can rub to stimulate this response, okay? So if you are feeling your fight and flights come up, okay? You're panicking, you're overthinking, you're angry, okay? This is a really great way to stop that response. Now, having yourself in this moment, okay, can be referred to as mindfulness or meditation. It's where you feel centered and you feel peaceful and you feel calm, okay? So it's having one focused thought and your attention on one thing without any judgment. And that's where you want to be in that present moment and to anchor yourself in there. So the biggest thing is to have an intention to stay in this moment once we're there, okay? Bring your attention to that moment and have a great attitude about staying in the moment. So having an intention, bringing your attention to the awareness of this moment, okay? And having the attitude to stay centered, peaceful and calm helps connect your mind and body. Now we can center ourselves in this moment with our breath. So I've got some other techniques next. Now breath work, we all breathe, right? We breathe every day. It isn't rocket science, but the science behind it is we breathe into our chest, not our belly. So as a child, what happens is we automatically are born breathing into our stomach and breathing out. And then something happens normally around the age of 7 or 8, some trauma response may happen where something happens and we start breathing from our chest, and it's called shallow breathing. What we want to do is deep breathing when we're in this state, okay? So now we're feeling nice and relaxed, our parasympathetic system's been activated. Breath work keeps us in this moment. Now, if you don't have a chance to do the activation, okay, breath work can stimulate the vagus nerve and your vagal tone. So what it is, your vagal tone is the way of stimulating this response and keeping it in this mode. So the more you do this stuff, it's like a muscle, yeah? You're relaxing, you're in flow, and you can get yourself back into this response through deep breathing. Now, one thing I do, I advise my clients when I do Reiki sessions, I get them into this mode by asking them to put their hands on their belly. Now, by putting your hands on your belly, what you're doing with your breath, you're actually directing it naturally down into your belly to do deep breathing. So it makes it easier. It's kind of a trick to keep yourself in this response. So putting your hands on your belly and taking a breath in, all the way down to your belly, hold for 3 and breathing out. And allowing your breath to continue to be longer than the breath in will help embed deep relaxation. So we'll try it again 3 times. And one more time. How are you feeling? Nice and relaxed, okay? We've stimulated our vagus nerve and we've embedded that tone, okay? Now there's lots of quick wins to keep in this state through the day. I'm going to go for a bit more other techniques of quick ways to get there, because this is a nice way of doing it in the mornings. If you do this in the morning, I promise your day will go better. Every day it's not realistic. I understand. I have a 6-year-old, she runs around the house. I don't get into this mode straight away. So some of the best ways to do it are looking at breath work with a mantra. So if you've never done this before, the reason I like talking about mantras is because words are energy, okay? Everything is energy. The way we talk to ourselves, the way we look at things, the way we are bringing in food into our body, everything's a frequency, everything's an energy, okay? So the more higher energy, so remember when we looked at the levels of consciousness, stuff which is on a lower scale, you can see from this diagram a Russian scientist used water molecules and said all these different words to water and then recorded it afterwards to see what the water changed to. So the water molecules, what are polluted, look, can you see that there, all over the shop, yeah? And that's what we don't want to be. So, and all the words, what are peace, love, thank you, and the higher versions and the higher consciousness, all look like snowflakes. Can you see that? Beautiful snowflakes. So the way our words are energy and the way we speak to each other, we can bring in an affirmation or a mantra or a sound, whatever resonates with you. So for example, you can put your hands on your belly and just breathe in the word love. And then breathe it back out. You can even embed this a bit further by bringing in a colour or a visualisation. Now this might be the next stage, but any type of energy work is a visualisation, okay? And anything we tell our mind, it believes. So if you were to visualise a white, pink light coming out and back out, that's such an effective, deep way of being able to embed this relaxation, okay? Another thing is to just think about one thing. So remember, the basics of meditation is one focused thought, your attention on one thing without judgment. So you can bring into your mind somebody, something, or somewhere you love. So you could think of your animal, your cat, or your dog, or your child, or your favourite place. Or my thing is always sunsets. That's what my favourite go-to visualisation is, where I find peace. So that's just sharing some ideas. So in the mornings you can put your hands on your belly, think about the one thing you love, and breathe in this vibration of love into your heart. And then breathe it out through your feet, which automatically grounds you into this moment, okay? Energetic grounding is one of the easiest ways to embed yourself in the present moment. So what we mean by that is bringing the harmony in with the earth, okay? We have the energetic earth underneath us, and by bringing in light and connecting with that, you can almost anchor yourself into this moment by grounding into that moment. Okay? Can sometimes be a bit easier than others when you haven't practiced this, but I promise, more practice, it's like that muscle we talked about. You have a grounding muscle, you have a energy muscle, you have a present moment muscle, and the more you practice it and embed this, the more it comes like second nature. It's called neuroplasticity. You try a new behaviour for 21 days and it creates the habit. So that's my challenge to you guys, is to try this stuff. Now there's another couple of techniques I thought I should cover as well today in basic relaxation. The next one is, so we talked about bringing in a mantra, so it could be just the word love. Having your hands on your belly with breath work, so it just makes that breath more defined with an emotion or a mantra or a sound, whatever works for you. It could be everything's going to be okay today. It could be just for today, I will not worry. And then you can also bring this in with colour. And close your eyes and imagine a pink light coming in through the top of your head, down your spine, down your legs and through your feet into the ground. And simply say, I am grounded in this moment. There's no right and wrong. Play around with it, okay? But this is a basic relaxation tip. And the more you do it over and over, the more grounded you will feel. Now, anyone struggling with this, a quick, nice tip to use is something called a mudra. Now, if you haven't heard the word mudra before, it's simply a hand position where we align our hands and our fingers in a certain place. So I've been using a mudra like this throughout on my heart because it helps me balance my heart. Okay, so you can breathe into your heart and breathe out through your feet. Now, by doing this, you do find you will be more anchored in the moment because your hands kind of bring the presence to the moment more, okay? Now, one mudra I'm going to teach you today is really interesting because it helps flush out the monkey mind. So what we mean by that is the mental chatter, stuff coming up, what's going crazy, the anxiety, the depression, the old thoughts, the stuff we don't want anymore, okay? So, I learnt about mudras in Reiki level 3. And that's because I learned that we have the energy body, okay? So our energy body consists of an aura, which is our energetic. It's almost like, imagine the ozone layer around the world. It's like we have our own, okay? We all have an aura. And this is our energy body. And it's also regulated by 7 main chakras through our body, which are energy centers, like little spirals. And each one is in charge of keeping our body flowing with energy, okay? Each one can be damaged and each one can pick up stuff from other people or from traumas, and this is what healing is, okay? It's getting to the root of these causes, and this is what Reiki can help with and meditation can help with, the deeper stuff, which I'll advise you about at the end. But to go into basic relaxations to get ourselves in the mode where we actually can start taking control of our thoughts, mudras work through our energy body. So we also have something called meridians. If anybody's heard of a meridian before, through massage, acupuncture and acupressure, it's Chinese medicine. So we have this energy body and we also have meridians going through our body, which are like little energy channels, okay? So if you imagine a road map of the UK, that's what we have in our body where all this energy flows through. Now, unfortunately, one disharmonious thought can create a kink. So imagine a hose pipe with like a kink in it, in our energy body, which stops this energy from flowing. And this is the biggest cause and underlying fact of what disease can occur from. Okay? Anything what happens in the energy body then manifests as physical. So if you have any ailments, this will be why. So one of the best ways to flush this stuff out is through massage, Reiki, meditation, everything we talked about before. Acupuncture is amazing too. I've had some acupuncture after the trauma I had in November and it snapped me out, okay? And my body was in shock. The acupuncture took me out of the shock, okay? That's how powerful this stuff can be. So try combinations of stuff. But back to mudras, if you imagine we have this roadmap through our body, okay? All these different meridians and they all flow and end in our fingers and toes. This is why we have reflexology, another amazing technique to help. Massaging your feet or even using a foot spa is great to be able to help these responses and help these energy kinks come out of our body. So our ends of our fingers and toes is where these points end. And this is what EFT tapping is based on, what the next masterclass will be about. So we'll take that further. But just to introduce it today, our meridians end in the end of our fingers, and because of that we can actually put our fingers in certain positions to help the energy flow differently. So the mudra I want to teach today is the Kali mudra. Okay, the Kali mudra is so effective, it can give you a boost for the rest of the day. So if you are in fight and flight, or you've had a bad response, you know, some serious traumas just come up, you've had a massive phone call, you're having a panic attack, I've been there. This Kali mudra is the best way to ground yourself, protect yourself and flush out this energy which is excess. Okay, so it's your 2 index fingers together and your 2 thumbs crossed at the back. And all the rest of the fingers all interlinked, okay? Now, you can do breath work with this to flush out old energy and you will feel an energetic shift. The more The length you have determines the effectiveness. So the longer you do it for, the better you will feel. And mudra breathing is a great way to relax yourself and get yourself in that present moment in trauma responses, okay? So we'll just try it for a minute. So try to get your hands. It's a bit like girl power, like the Spice Girls, I always think. So yes, can you get the look of this mudra, okay? What we're going to do, we're going to breathe in to our belly and breathe out. And imagine any excess energy flowing through your legs, through your toes, into the ground below, and anchoring you into the earth. And we're going to breathe in again to our belly and hold for 3 and breathe out through our feet, allowing all excess energy to be flushed into the ground where it's purified and renewed. And again we're going to breathe in to our belly, hold for 4, and when we breathe out, we allow this excess energy, what does not serve us, to flow out, and a new vibration of love to replace this energy. Now open your eyes, and how do you feel? Basic mudra breathing, okay? It can be done by anybody, at any place, at any time. I feel it's so effective for bringing relaxation into your life, anywhere you go. Okay, I'm going to bring in one other breath work with tapping, and then after that I'm just going to list all the different types of meditation you can go and try afterwards. Because a lot of people, especially my clients, say, I don't know how to meditate, I find it really hard. And the fact is, you don't need to do a full-blown half an hour meditation. What do we just do then? 2 minutes. Okay, you can reset your vagus nerve in the morning. You can do a bit of breath work with mudra work, with visualization, with mantras, with affirmations, whatever you want to try. Okay, so I'm just going to give you one other tip. Now this one feels great in the morning and it's easy to embed, okay? So we're going to breathe in, we're going to hold for 4, and then we're going to breathe out for 8 as we're tapping our collarbone. Now along here is another good point of where all meridians hit, where they all meet. This is a point here, if you can see along your collarbones, if you want to tap with both hands. So we're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and then breathe out for 8. And again, in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 8. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. How do we feel with that move? And after doing all of them together in a row, it really makes you feel relaxed and embodied. So what I just wanted to explain is you can also try other meditations. If you start to get into this, you start to feel relaxed and you love it. So the best one is meditating with movement. So how do we do this? So basics like yoga and qigong embody this, because you're actually moving with your breath. If you've never tried it, YouTube is a good place to start, okay? There's easy beginner sessions on there if you're scared of going to classes or you just don't have the time. Because for me, I struggle to get to classes because I have a little girl. So I'm like defined by her social life. So if you find it hard to embed classes, please go into YouTube. There's the most amazing instructors on there and it's all for free. And you can try yoga and qigong on there. There's some amazing people doing it and it really is a good way of practicing movement with breath work, which is a form of meditation. Another thing is just counting when you're walking. I do a lot of nature walks. When I go for nature walks, I often just breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8, or breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 8, like we've just done as I'm walking. And doing breath work with walking is so effective. That's an amazing way to try this stuff. We also have body scanning. So sometimes we kind of did a little bit of that today, where you breathe in and you imagine the breath coming through your head. You can imagine it going down your arms into your fingertips, through your torso and your legs, down into your feet. So being aware of your body and scanning this. There's also a lot of body scan, particular meditations on YouTube I'd recommend as well, with typing in and having a look at something you find. Another one is your 5 senses. So a really good basic way of getting back into the present moment is focusing on your 5 senses. So what can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you smell? And what can you taste? And even if it, it's just like, I can't really smell anything, but you're actually smelling, or you want to taste something as you're doing it to make it more effective. It's a really nice way of bringing yourself back into the moment. We also have guided meditations and visualizations. So we've done a bit of visualization with colour today. Now, on YouTube, there's some amazing meditations with some amazing healers out there. I cannot recommend enough to go out and take this further if you're really getting into it. So the guided meditations literally take you on a journey. It's very much similar to hypnotherapy, okay? So your brain goes into something called a theta state, which is just before going to sleep. So you're that relaxed, but you're not asleep. You're in that middle stage. That's where deep healing can occur, okay? That's where the biggest transformations can happen. And if you're visualizing new techniques and new healings and new realities and new timelines in that state, it embeds in your subconscious and becomes your reality. This is how powerful this stuff is. So you can take it to that state once you start to, and you can start with small meditations, and if you want recommendations where to go, please get in touch. But normally just doing a search on YouTube and just trying new stuff out there and seeing what works for you is the best way to start. Now, I wanted to just bring in one other technique at the end, and it's how to bring this into your daily life. So daily mudras, mantras, colours, everything we talked about, but it's connecting to that present moment, is a way to get there. Now, once we're in this moment, okay, we've done our breath work, we're feeling good, we can anchor with our fingers. Now, I use this as my anchor, this mudra, so it's just your thumb and your index finger together. So once you feel that great feeling of relaxation, that great feeling of love, that great feeling of, okay, I'm in the moment, you can anchor it through something. It's an NLP technique, okay? And it's called anchoring through your energy system. You're reprogramming your body where your anchor point is. So we're feeling good, we're feeling really relaxed. You can anchor this into this moment, okay? So when we go through our daily life, through our moment, we can come back to our anchor points. It could be here, it could be anywhere what suits you. Any of these fingers. Now, I do recommend this one too as another mudra. This is the Karana mudra, I believe. So this is our thumb and our finger next to our pinky, okay? Our ring finger, as it's called. Now, this is a great way to flush and ground yourself in the moment too, through the day. Okay? Can you feel a shift? Can you feel a difference? And do you have any questions is the main thing. If you do, please contact me and ask me any questions, because I'm always here and I love being asked stuff. And I'm hoping this relaxation will give you lots of different ways to move forward in the future. So if you just remember, it's about your intention, okay? I intend to use some breath work. Your attention has gone to the moment. And then your attitude about this. I'm not going to judge whether I feel a difference. I'm going to trust it works. Okay, sounds good to me. Lovely. So I am going to be doing a second masterclass on EFT. EFT is emotional freedom technique, and it's where we bring in more points around our body and we use our fingers to tap these points. And as we're doing it, we're going to bring in affirmations and we're going to bring in ways to reprogram our subconscious mind. This is an incredible way of bringing in that relaxation response and bringing in words. So if you remember, these words have energy. So by saying any positive words, we can refocus our mindset for the day. It really is mind, body, soul healing EFT. It's called emotional freedom technique because it gives you that freedom. Okay, so keep an eye out for your emails, keep in touch with me, and I'll be releasing this masterclass as a second part to this today. And thank you all for being here. Thanks so much for today, and I'm so pleased to be sharing all these techniques with you. Okay, sending love to you all. Goodbye.